welcome to the third review of the evening. Up this time is a game called Reed Remastered. So the Reed that is being remastered here is, from as far as I can tell, a mobile platform game. Um, I'm not exactly sure what was remastered because I can't find the original Reed game, and I'm not sure if that's because a game called Reed is going to be very generic.
Mm-hmm.
But I can say Reed Remastered hails from the world of the mobile development scene. Um, Originally put out by Crescent Moon Games, who we had on the program a few years ago, remembering correctly. And subsequently ported to consoles by, a company that features very prominently in these reviews, Ratalaika Games.
Take your shot now.
Uh-huh. Uh, it's like, usually at least one game in our review packs will be provided by Ratalaika. Not all the time, but usually. Anyway, since this is for the Nintendo Switch, it's over to the Galax for more on the actual game.
So yeah, this is a puzzle-ish platformer where you play as a fuzzy creature that is kind of cattish, rabbitish, and you have to like reinitialize the cubes or whatever to save the computer of the facility you're in. I don't quite get it. The plot is extremely minimal, and this game has 50 stages. I only got to like 30 because it's kind of tricky. Honestly, the obstacles and stuff are like the point of each stage. You have to find and touch the cube, and then you have to get to the exit door that doesn't appear until you touch the cube. In terms of obstacles, there are like chicken monster thingies that you can jump on, but if you don't jump on, and after you jump on them, they don't have damage for a second. But otherwise, if you run into them, you lose a life, which you have infinite lives, but you have to restart the stage. There are spikes on the floor. If you touch them, you lose a life. There are spinning buzzsaws in some areas. If you touch them, you lose a life. And there are arrow/dart shooting things, and if you get shot with the arrows, you lose a life, although you can touch them once they're embedded in a wall or something. That doesn't do anything. But they're not harmful then. And sometimes you see those little blue fish things that seem to be trying to communicate hints to you, but they don't speak English, so if the hints are supposed to be comprehensible, they aren't. Honestly, the structure of the game is very simple. The puzzles aren't even super complicated. They just require really good timing. And sometimes that's hard for me to pull off the timing of jumping between dart guns. Also, this game has way more than I feel like it necessarily should of blind downward jumps, where you have to jump downwards and you don't know what at the bottom, if there are enemies marching back and forth, and it's up to chance whether you land on them or between them and then run into them, or whether you land on or between spikes, or if there are dart guns in the wall that you can't see when you jump. So it was a little bit frustrating with that. The music is kind of mechanical. It's not like a bouncy platformer music. It's very you're in a broken stuff and you're trying to fix it, I guess. There were some interesting glitch effects on the introduction scene, which is where all of the actual story is pretty much. The art style, as you can see, it's pixels. It's done pretty well with pixels. The controls could be a little bit tighter, I think. Sometimes I had a hard time stopping short of something that was going to hurt me if I touched it. Do you guys have any questions? Because I'm fairly low on things to talk about.
Is there
this.
any exclusive Switch stuff? Like HD Rumble or anything like that?
Didn't notice any HD Rumble. If there is touchscreen functionality, it would be way worse.
Mm.
Unless it let you trace out an exact path to follow, and even then. Because a lot of the puzzles are timing based. There were only a few stages in which I ever ended up in a unwinnable scenario, that is to say, a scenario in which I found where the exit would appear, but the block you have to touch was the other way, and I couldn't get back up. And even then, it's not like there's a huge punishment for dying.
Mm.
Yeah, there's not really a whole lot to this. I guess it's definitely better on platforms that could have been on freaking mobile. That sounds like a horror show, frankly.
Couldn't say personally, since didn't pick up the game on any platform.
So yeah, basically, the biggest issue I have with this is that I'm looking at it and I'm looking. I mean, like, this wants to be like Super Meat Boy or something, and it's not quite. And it has some weird flaws, like the buzz saws. They look sharper the way they are with the sharp angles, but it makes what their hurt box is a little bit less clear.
Mm.
The spikes on the floor, sometimes I accidentally bumped into because either I didn't stop right or because like the very edge of them is still sharp. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, but I can't give it too much of a recommendation because it's not the best platformer of this kind, and there are too many just blind downward jumps. And a lot of the difficulty is just like, oh, hey, get the timing exactly right on jumping in between the darts.
Right. So, a special note on pricing. As you might expect, if you've been keeping track of our Rata Laika reviews, this game clocks in at a standard price of $5. The mobile version, I'm looking at the Android version here, it clocks in at $1. Which is a standard price discrepancy. Because
Android nobody ever wants to pay much on, and Switch tends to charge a little bit higher, if anything.
Well, even charging $1 for like a mobile game is considered to be highway robbery sometimes.
Yeah, and I wouldn't play this on a phone unless you have a controller.
Like looking at trying to see if I'm not seeing any like download packs for the mobile version. So I'm assuming that if you purchase this in one go, so yeah, it's a lot cheaper on your phone. But
I mean, if you're good at platforming and stuff, this game you could probably complete in an hour or two. I had a hard time with some of the dart timing, which is why I only made it to like stage 30. And I still played for like 3 hours.
All right then. So that'll about do it for Read Remastered here. Be sure to tune in after the break as we will be reviewing Crystal Picnic.